And as we love ourselves more, not less, we have an opportunity to step forward in this moment of uncertainty as the new and the first citizens of this new earth.
Hi everyone, welcome back. I'm Michael Sandler, your host on Inspire Nation. If you ever wanted more peace and love during this incredibly challenging time, then do we have The Universe Always Has a Plan show for you. Today I'll be talking with Matt Kahn, one of my all-time favorite spiritual teachers and authors of Whatever Arises Loves That, Everything is Here to Help You, and his latest, The Universe Always Has a Plan. And that's just what I want to talk with him about today, about what in the world's going on today and how it will all work out. So welcome back to the show, Matt. Are you ready to shine?
I am ready to shine, and thanks for having me back, Michael. It's always a pleasure.
Thank you so much for being here, and a mighty woohoo! Woohoo! Awesome. So it's a really interesting day. I know of no other way to put it. Everything is closing around us. Stock market is crashing. I'm not sharing all of these things to be in the negative. In fact, I'm not putting that energy out into the field. But everybody who's listening is feeling a bit on edge. What is the first thing that you want to say to people?
Well, this is a very interesting time. And if we look at it on a cultural level, on a collective level, we have had a society that has been typically run by this energy of do. And this spiritual awakening has been this random interception of this do unconsciousness with these deep experiences and invitations into beingness. And so on a very big level, we look at coronavirus or all these things that are happening. Stores are shutting down, restaurants are shutting down, and we're all being invited just to kind of be in our own state of incubation. On a collective level, on a cultural level, we are really going from this do patterning into beingness. And so it's like the world at large is being initiated into the largest meditation retreat that no one expected to attend. And, whenever someone goes to a meditation retreat, we have when someone sits still longer than their ego has been conditioned or trained to sit still, we have agitation, we have frustrations, we have projections, we have self-judgments, all the things we go through in the vision quest of opening up and aligning to spirit through meditation and through a practice of stillness. The world right now is going through this massive initiation. And so it's going to really be an opportunity for us to go inward and to really unplug from the collective perception, what I call the collective agreement, right? Where all of us in this world are collectively agreeing to certain commonalities. And this really gives us an opportunity to say, what is my truth that doesn't have to be anyone's truth? What is my experience that doesn't have to match anything that I'm reading on the news headlines? And it gives us a chance to really return back to our direct experience. It gives us a chance to return back to our own alignment. It gives us a chance to return back to our own true nature of stillness, so that when we come back out of this, all of our doing can be more inspired instead of perpetuated from a state of conditioning.
Woohoo! Woohoo! So many directions I can go with this. First, there's the doobie-doobie-doo, and I think of Dr. Amit Goswami, and talks about doobie-doobie-doo, that we have to oscillate between the two. We can't all be in a state of doing this. And I look at this as a cocoon helping us to grow our butterfly wings, or a rebirthing of humanity. We are going back into the room. We're renegotiating this agreement. And I believe by plugging into our true nature, we are coming up. Right now, we're living a collective nightmare time temporarily, but it's actually a collective, very positive dream once we unshackle from that fear. Yes. And my guess is when you're saying that universe always has a plan, that's exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah. I think what is really important to understand is that when people look at Armageddon is only doomsday to the perspective of the unraveling ego, right? We are only watching the unraveling of the sickest part of our planet. So when we think of the end of the world. It's really the end of the ego-driven world. When we think of Armageddon, it's just the dissolving, the destruction, the unraveling of all of the ego's hiding spots. And so really this is, we've talked so much about, and I know on our interviews together, Michael, we've talked about preparing for ascension, but really this is the ascension. We are knee deep in ascension, and this is an opportunity for all of us. And I think, the greatest invitation I can give to anyone watching this is, it's very easy to get pulled into the atmosphere of fear, which is basically the feedback of a lot of people saying, I don't know how to thrive or feel connected to more when being faced with so much less, or all the creature comforts that I'm used to having access to get taken away from me. Most people go into a belief that says, if more is being taken, my experience has to be less than. And what we're going to find is that we can actually have more of an enriching, fulfilling, spiritually fueled experience. And that the more that is taken from us temporarily is just giving us a chance to focus and to make the most of our situations. These are the kind of environments that either bring up tremendous amount of victimhood and fear, or it inspires generosity and heroism in those who decide to do the most with the least they've been given. So this is a really great opportunity for all of us to really decide, what version of ourselves do we wish to be in the near future? And can we use this as an opportunity, a vision quest, to not just get hysterical over all the things that are changing, but can we say, thank you for taking away some of these creature comforts and forcing me to grow into a higher alignment that will benefit the planet?
That's where we're going. How do we functionally? Most people listening aren't maybe heavy-duty meditators, and certainly aren't used to starting a meditation practice when the world is swirling around them. This is certainly the Zen koan of, if you don't have time to meditate, meditate twice as long. How do we start into a practice? And then, let's face it, when we go silent at this time, the traumas, the fears, the wounds are going to dance a jiggy with us.
Well, I would say that, most meditation experiences are in these very unrealistic scenarios where everyone who has full access to the creature comforts of life go to a place they decided to go, sit of their own free will and volition, and explore meditation, which is lovely. It's a lovely invitation. But meditation is really like a practical. It's a way that we practice being aligned in harmony, but true meditation is literally what happens when the way life is, it does not match the way you want it to be. So it's very easy for someone to look at the state of the world and say, now's not the time to meditate. But when the world is in a place of uncertainty, that's exactly when meditation begins. In fact, when I've led meditation retreats and everyone's in comfort and they're enjoying the meditation and I'm getting all this benefit of it, that's a wonderful thing. But the meditation hasn't begun yet. The moment someone says to themselves, I think I need to get up and go, that's the moment the meditation actually begins, where you actually confront and you sense boundaries and barriers. And when we get to that part of ourselves that says, I have to do something, the invitation of meditation is, what would happen if, despite the plea to do something, I just sat with that desire, that sensation, that need, that want? And what we start to see in meditation, which of course is just a metaphor for what is going to help all of us through this very uncertain time, what happens is that when we sit with these desires, these instincts, these I have to do something, and we just watch them come and go like waves, we start to get space from these impulses, and we realize that these are the impulses of our conditioned self, but that we are the witness, a witness that has actually never been conditioned, and we start to actually experience ourselves separate from the conditioning of these pleas, desires, And really what begins to happen is when we have an identity that is separate from the urging and pleading of our egos, when we have an identity that is rooted in a safety that is not dependent upon the circumstances of the world, then we find ourselves not acting out from a place of victim consciousness. We find ourselves not embodying the fear of the world and acting it out in a way that is less beneficial for our society, but we actually find ourselves going so deep within our experience. We find in a very spontaneous way, and it awakens for everyone differently, that literally everything that we need is always within ourselves. Supermarkets may close. They may not refill the shelves as quickly. There may be bottles of water. There may be no toilet paper. There might be no restaurants open, and everything in between. But truly everything that we need to function and to be is always within ourselves. And for most people, it takes this type of extreme environment to turn our attention inward to discover such a truth.
Thank you. And there's so many levels I want to go with this. First off, I like to think of our fear right now as a little wounded child, and we just
Yes.
want to hold that fear and love that fear up, because there's no such thing as bad. It's all here to serve us. So when we are in meditation and we go into it, and the screaming mind that says, I have had enough of this, I can't take it anymore, I can't meditate anymore, how do we love even that up?
Well, that's a great question. And, I love the visual of you rocking with it like a child in your arms. I would say that in order for people to love the fear, it has to be okay that fear is present. I think a lot of what people do is they get caught in this weird tailspin. And the tailspin is either, I have a right to be afraid given the circumstances. And then it becomes very quickly, I'm afraid to see what either I'm going to attract or what will happen if I spend too much time being afraid. So I think what is interesting is that in order to love our experiences, which of course in a perfect world we would cradle the fear in our arms, and for some of us that's wonderful, and we can just love the fear. But in order to love the fear, we have to allow it to be present. We have to say that the fear that we are feeling is actually an unearthing of repressed passion. And it's actually the awakening of our own inner artist, because of course the inner artist, who is what uses the flow of consciousness to express it artistically through passion. And what becomes the vibration of fear is when the passion within ourselves is not regularly expressed, it ferments, and fermented passion becomes fear. So when we're going through fear, we're just going through this unearthing process, as you said earlier, this rebirthing process. And we are literally, if we're going to love the fear and help transmute it, we have to first allow it to be. So it's normal to be afraid. It's how our nervous system lets us know how much transformation is occurring in a very short window of time. And really, in order to love the fear, we have to say to ourselves, it's not wrong that I'm afraid. This is a natural part of an evolutionary cycle I may not understand. And in order for me to transform this fear into passion, I must welcome the fear without needing to pretend that I like it under any circumstance. I may not like the fear, but I allow fear to be a transformer for me. I welcome it into my experience without needing to identify with its storyline, agenda, urges, and pleas.
I love it. And I'm going to give it a new storyline just for fun. That fear is energy, neither good nor bad. But if we can observe the energy, if we can actually over time allow and draw in that energy, we can use it to help us go through that cocoon, to help us be rebirthed, or to use a coined Matt Kahn, he has to put a copyright on this word. We can use that fear and energy, or say our afraid is actually here as an upgrade.
Yes. I love that. It's amazing. What we think of as negative energy is just energy that's been stored in our cells, repressed, and hasn't been given room to express. And we commonly call that negative because when we experience this energy synthesized through our nervous system, it feels very uncomfortable. So we it's very common to think of repressed energy as negative or dark because we're just experiencing the discomfort of lodged energy becoming unlodged. And of course, positive energy is the same energy, but it's what it feels like to your nervous system when it's in a flux of being free flowing. So whether it's flowing or blocked, that's what gives the human mind the belief of it being negative or positive. And of course, when a human being has a lot of stuck energy, they tend to have a very narrow mindset, rigid belief system, and limited conclusions about the world and view, which is just trying to bring them to the internal realization, I've got a lot of repressed energy. How can I move it? How can I relate to it? How can I love it? How can I accept it? And so really this is, in a nutshell, no matter what stage of awakening we're at in the planet, this large, potential of quarantine is giving each of us an opportunity to say, no matter where we are in the spiritual journey, can I take this opportunity to go deep within myself and not react to what the world isn't providing me or it's being taken away from me, but can I actually discover an entire new reality nowhere else but within the depths and core of my eternal being?
Woohoo! Woohoo! With that said, you used to be a big, I think it was bench presser and lifter, and you had a lot of fun with being incarnate, which is creating with the body because we are spiritual beings having that human existence. Yeah. Is there a way that you're going to do or that you might recommend, and I know it's different for everybody, to literally keep that energy flowing?
If we think of the idea of harmony, being flowing energy.
Yeah.
Harmony is simply what happens in our perceptions and our conclusions when our energy is flowing. So we have to look at what are we doing with our lives right now that is contributing to our energy being stagnant, and what are we going to do that's going to help us to circulate new energy. So for example, if you are someone who typically reads a lot of books, maybe this is a chance to kind of put that aside and switch to the opposite side, which is creative artistic expression. If you are someone who is constantly having to run around and do so many things and has an endless list of demands and things on your to-do list, maybe this is a time to nourish, replenish, recharge, make time for meditation, maybe draw yourself a bath. If you're someone who is constantly needing to always connect and converse with other people, maybe this is a chance to kind of work a different muscle and go inward and have a gratitude journal. And so we really look at, how can I interrupt the normalcy of my patterning? What are the things that I know are good for me that I really want to make time for, that I've never really gotten around to? And what are some of the habits that seem to get in my way that I can maybe surrender, release, and let go? And so this is a really great opportunity. And I think it's this Thursday is the beginning of spring?
Yeah, it's coming up fast.
So why not use this as an opportunity for a little internal spring cleaning? And we spring clean, hopefully, not just in our external realities, but we spring clean in our conditioning, in our patterning, in our mindset, and in our choices. And so the question becomes, what are the habits, the tendencies, the patterns that I do on a daily basis that are contrary or contradictory to my highest state of well-being? And what are the things that I know I could be doing for greater balance that I never make enough time for? Can we just do a little bit less of the things that are self-destructive? And can we do a little bit more things that are more exploring? That's a new word, self-exploring. Can we do things that are going to help us ground our energy, that are going to open our hearts, that are going to help us be in tune with our inner artist? Can we write more? Can we dance more? Can we spend more time with our children? Can we take more walks in nature? And for all of us, it's going to be a different combination. But I think if the prescription for the planet is, can I use this as an opportunity to detox from the choices that are actually contributing to my stagnant energy? And can I do some of the newer things that are going to create more flow in my energy? When we do those things, we activate the power of alchemy. We activate the power of alchemy. We are melting barriers within ourselves, and we are transforming our being out of the density of these seemingly separate characters, and instead coming into the fullness of who we are as light beings in physical form.
Woohoo!
Woohoo!
Many more directions. And I'm going beyond light beings and saying right now we are light warriors, that we can be alchemists and transform this apparent darkness into the light. And it's as you're saying, this is a global pattern interrupt. And I think that's the beauty of this right now. And it's something that you shared in your teachings before. How can we do one thing differently each and every day? And now we get to do things massively differently.
Yes.
What would you say to people, though, who are listening, who are going, this is great, it's a time to grow inside. You said self-exploring. I'll use the term here, intronaut. We get to become astronauts on the inside. But what if I just lost my job? What if my mom and my father is sick? What if something that we're saying universe has a plan, but on a very real level is extremely challenging?
Absolutely. The first moment of true meditation is the moment in which the ego says, this is not the right time for this. Mm-hmm. Most people need to sit in a meditation hall for a couple hours before they get, or maybe 10 minutes, or maybe just 3 minutes without their cell phone, in order to get to the feeling of, this isn't the right time for this. As soon as you get the message of this isn't the right time for this, that's on a soul level, that's actually the perfect time to start meditating. So we have to realize that one of the first steps in spiritual evolution is that the things that someone like me is suggesting is going to, when it's coming at the most ripe opportunity, to your ego, it's always going to sound the most irrational. So if I say, let's just sit and be, and someone goes, I can't at a time like this, that's how we know it's perfect. Because we have to be able to put ourselves in a position that says, my ego is going to be in various states of fight, flight, freeze, fawn. These are the new ones. And I'm going to sit and see what happens when I observe these impulses within me. But I sit and I refuse to act upon them for specific periods of time. And what that does is it gives us space. It gives us space from these impulses. And instead of living as these wind-up toys of exaggerated survival, we wake up out of the matrix and we realize, I am on my own path. I seem to share space with a bunch of people in the world, but we're literally each on our own paths, being guided by a universe that is always destined and designed to give each of us exactly what we need in any given moment. And even when what the universe gives us is a chance to experience what happens when everything is taken away, the one thing that can't be taken from us is our awareness, but it requires a certain amount of focus, dedication, and practice in order for that awareness to be the most priceless gift in the universe that any of us have. So it's as if there's this priceless work of art, this priceless gift, this most intangible of infinite value force within us. And we just have to ask ourselves, are we willing to do whatever it takes to bring this infinite power to life? And if we are, this is the most perfect opportunity to dive into awakening. Because like I said, the moment a spiritual invitation is being given and the response of the ego is not right now, when someone's ready to wake up, they go, this is the time. And for a lot of people, in order to get into this inward place, they're going to have to play out a lot of external hysteria. But people that are rooted in their hearts, people that on some level know they were born to go through this awakening ascension process, when they hear words like this, when they feel the energy it's transmitted from, we're able to say to ourselves, despite how crazy this sounds, or despite the fact that a bunch of people seem to be running around, and instead of needing to be pulled into that as if we're missing something, the real game, the real event horizon is letting the world be in a state of uncertainty and having a seat and saying to yourself, the only way I'm going to know the plan the universe has for me, and the only way I'm going to know that there is a universe orchestrating all of this around and through me, is if I just sit and allow myself to observe instead of play out what are simply symptoms of conditioning that we have a chance to heal right now.
Woohoo! A few really fun things. I've never heard this expression before. Wind up toys of exaggerated survival. And we're going from these wind up toys to discovering our true power, the infinite powerful beings, by rooting back into our hearts. So how do we do this? If we're going to go, I can't believe I'm going to say this, but why not? I'm saying this with pure love and light. Armageddon Meditation 101.
That's great. Armageddon Meditation. That's exactly what it says. First step is this. First step is we wake up each day. So let's just say we're waking up each day. I'll walk you through a day in the life of Armageddon Meditation. So we wake up in the morning, right? And we start with an intention. And the intention is not what we hope is going to happen in the outside world. The intention is what brings us back to our internal state of being. And in order to be rooted in an internal state of being, we have to decide not what we think is going to happen on the outside, but what am I going to bring forth from the inside to the world that I meet, no matter what the world does or doesn't bring to me. So when we set an intention, we say, may today be an opportunity where I bring more fill in the blank to myself and everyone I meet. And when an intention is done from a place of alignment, heart-centered consciousness, let's say, and if you didn't know what to choose, the best way to figure it out is, what do I want to feel more emotionally, or what do I want to feel more of on an emotional level right now? And let's say, given our current time, someone says, I would like to feel more joy. Now, we're not pretending to be in a state of joy. What we're suggesting is, in order to cultivate the vibration of joy, I set my intention that joy will be the gift that I give to people. Now, most people will hear that and they will think, well, how do I give joy if I don't feel joy? And the reality is that we give joy through the words that convey blessings of joy. So, for example, if my intention is joy, everyone I interact with, I may say at the end of the conversation, may you be blessed with joy. Or I may say, it is a joy to be with you. Or how joyful to meet you today. Or what a joy of a day it is. And of course, we all need to find our own words that are authentic to us. This has to be done in an authentic way. For some of us, the only authentic thing will be at the end of the conversation when we say, it is may you be blessed with joy today. And what we'll find is, when our intention is set and we are simply using our words to put into the quantum field blessings for other people to have the very thing that we want, we are spending the majority of our day using our human interactions to anchor the vibration that tells our nervous system that it's safe to feel joyful, even if we don't see joyful things on the outside. So the first step, it's a really powerful one, is intention. And again, whatever I want more of in my life emotionally is what I bless for other people. And through the law of unity consciousness, what I give to others verbally or envisioned with my creative consciousness is what I actually fill myself up with over a period of time. Now, as I go through my day of blessing others with the very thing authentically that I want for myself emotionally, if I get caught up in the hysteria, or if someone gets hypnotized by the conflicting headlines on Facebook or wherever they seek news, that's when we say it's time for a timeout. I'm getting too caught in the stream of doing, and it's time to take a being break. And when we take a being break, we're going to stop what we're doing. We're going to turn off our phone. We're going to turn away from our computer screen. We're going to put our hands on our heart, and we're going to simply breathe in and breathe out. We're going to breathe in and we're going to breathe out. And we're going to first use breathing to center ourselves. And we do this until we can feel our body. The minute you can feel your body confirms you're back in your body. And once you're back in your body with maybe a minute or two of breathing, then perhaps we can be creative with our process and practice. And we ask ourselves 3 very specific questions. And no matter how many times a day we have to do this, we're just circulating new energy. The first question is, what's one thing I can be grateful for right now? And maybe we say, I'm grateful for this breath and this moment of renewal. Next question is, what have I done right today? So to focus on amplifying our worthiness and well-being. And we might say, you know what? I was getting a little triggered by the headlines, but I remember to stop and breathe and re-anchor and reground. And I'm very proud of myself for taking this moment and remembering instead of forgetting. And then the third question is, as we transform and become beings of light, what are we excited to see more of in the world? And I might say to myself, I'm excited to see children return to school. I'm excited to see grocery stores overflowing with organic produce. I'm excited for people around the world to have more access to healthcare and clean drinking water. And so we go through our day set on the intention of what I want more of emotionally, I bless other people with. The minute I get triggered, I go back into my body. I unplug from empathing the collective through a few breaths. And then I realign with my soul by remembering one thing to be grateful for, one thing I've done right today, and things I'm excited to see come to life in the new world that we are co-creating. And at the end of the day, we can simply sit in reflection and we can remember how often we remembered to realign instead of getting down on ourselves for forgetting. We can remember how wonderful it felt to be aligned with the replenishing power of our own eternal breath. We can remember how often we took time to be grateful. We can remember all the things that we've envisioned for the coming world and all the things we're helping humanity create. And we can actually take a moment to rejoice in the fact that this is what it looks like when we live as light workers, anchoring an awakening heart-centered consciousness while playing the roles as people in a world.
Woohoo! Anchoring, I got to write this down, an awake, centered consciousness. Yes. In other words, the universe always has a plan.
Yes. I mean, the universe always has a plan. It's just not going to be the plan that the ego creates. But the interesting thing, the illusion about the ego's plan, and I don't use the word illusion often, but the illusion of the ego's plan is the ego thinks its plan is what's going to give it everything it desires. What's interesting is that the only thing the ego's plan does is 2 things. Is it simultaneously only gives the ego things to chase after, and it gives the ego a guarantee to be stuck at the level of consciousness it's at, which is actually what the ego wants, because the ego is afraid of change, because it perceives change as death. Because every time any of us change, it's like we become a new version of ourselves. So if we thought of it like every time you, Michael, or someone changes, you're stepping out of a timeline and into a new parallel timeline, and you become a new version of you. But your ego is the part of you that says, but if I'm becoming a new me, the me I'm stepping out of is dying. And so every time we change, the ego experiences a minor or major death. Because the ego will never know that change or even death is the doorway of renewal and transformation. So that's why in the way I teach, we love the ego. We're not here to be life coaches that educate the egos. The ego cannot understand anything other than what reinforces its own self-referencing mechanism and what keeps it at a level of consciousness where it gets to avoid the death of change. So the ego will only understand what verifies and helps it avoid the death of change. And what we are doing is we are actually transcending the death of change by seeing that change is the doorway of renewal and rebirth. And we are simply not trying to convince the child inside of us that everything's going to be okay. We are loving it through every tantrum, every negotiation. We are loving it through every uncertainty. We are loving it through every fear. We are saying, honey, I cannot explain this to you, but my love will help you see this through. And it will feel like part of you is dying. And at the same time, if we can really just feel into it without the need to draw conclusions, to fight this, to run from it, if we can really just be with this process and know that something really radical and beautiful is happening, what we actually start to see is that, yeah, there is an old self, an old world, an old humanity dying, but there is a new world being born, and it's being born not outside of me. It's being born within the depth of my heart. And as we love ourselves more, not less, we have an opportunity to step forward in this moment of uncertainty as the new and the first citizens of this new earth, of this fifth dimensional vibration of unity consciousness, where when we come out of this seclusion, we come out of being sequestered, we are going to come out as new versions of ourselves. And if we go willingly, and if we make it our choice to change before life has to do it for us, it's going to be a lot easier. And it's going to be a lot less tumultuous if we say, I see where this is going. There are parts of me that are not going to continue. Part of me is going to feel like I'm dying. And yet the majority of me is going to experience renewal and rebirth. And all I have to do is learn how to live a life of alignment, notice the signs of when life is asking me to stop and breathe, to love myself. Yeah. To remember what I'm grateful for, what am I doing right, what do I want to see in the coming days for the world, and what is my intention and what am I giving to others, not just waiting to receive from others. We learn to live a life of intentionality and alignment and loving the most desperate parts of ourselves through this evolutionary process. We come out the other end fully awakened and initiated spiritual warriors and masters for the emerging new world.
Woohoo! I can see us all coming out, Matt, and hugs for everyone as we come out of this. We're going to want as much physical contact, sending the hugs to everybody so that we get the hugs back for ourselves. Couple last questions. We'll dive into a meditation. First off, is there anything that you are doing differently on top of doing things differently in your daily life right now, other than the shopping, other than the lack of travel, but something that you've put as part of your practice?
Yeah, I live a fairly healthy lifestyle, and the last couple of years, I've really gotten into my passion for cooking, and so I cook from scratch. And in these days where, I live 600 feet from an organic market, so I'm used to just going every day and getting what I need. And so this situation has been a little more interesting, and I've had to be a little more creative. But my practice and my process when I'm not offering this light and transmission for humanity, because during times like this, it's really important for me to put out and just to allow the beacon of light to help guide people in a very conscious and inspiring way. Yeah. But in my way, or in my life, I'm already someone who lives in a state of meditation known as samadhi. I've been in a state of meditation for 13 years where no matter what I do, meditation is happening, and it's not something I do, it's something that is what I am. But even on top of that, a time like this asks me and invites me to deepen my practice and say, even though you're in a samadhi state all the time, how can you deepen your practice? And so this is actually kind of funny. I moved into an apartment about 5 months ago, and it has this giant soaker tub. And I'm not someone that traditionally takes baths. It's just not my thing. And yet at the same time,
Matt.
Right? and I'm getting healthier, and, my body is naturally detoxing because of how much fruits and vegetables I'm eating every day. And so I made it my intention of, during this time of lockdown or quarantine, we're going to call it, I'm going to challenge myself to deepen my meditation practice by taking detox baths with Epsom salt and apple cider vinegar. And I'm just going to, it's just not something that I didn't grow up taking baths, but I'm going to use this as an opportunity to become a different version of myself. And I'm also making more time for stretching and increasing my flexibility, making sure I'm walking every day, getting some cardiovascular exercise. So I'm looking at two things in my life. I don't usually take baths, so I'm going to do that to circulate new energy. And I've needed to increase my flexibility, and I haven't gotten around to it. So I'm going to focus on that every day. And I'm just looking at what I can do to take my health to an even higher level. And how can I use this as an opportunity to better myself, knowing that even as I better myself in my own life, in my own little apartment, I am connected to all beings on the planet. So as I'm willing to change and grow and push the boundaries, I'm putting out energy to all beings that helps to melt their defenses and makes it easier for everyone to change because I'm energetically leading by example. So these are the things that I'm doing.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Matt, I usually ask any last words of wisdom, and that can be the question. But really what I feel called to ask is there one thing we should be thinking about or anchoring in that we may not be thinking about or may be missing in this moment?
Absolutely. I'm glad you asked that question. The most reliable force of relief, the most positive outcome that this will all bring about, the thing that would bring someone relief and would release them from the tension that is so obvious if you're just going by headlines and news stories. It's always that which on the surface to most people seems invisible. The things you can't see are working harder to recreate the planet than the things that we see falling apart. The things that are invisible are actually conspiring and guaranteeing the success of humanity, even though it feels like the old world is falling apart. So this is a time when we withdraw our belief from the things in sight that are just there to put us in a state of alert, panic, fear, and worry. And instead we go within and we say, may the things I can't see, may the things I don't know, may the things I am perhaps unaware of that will give me the greatest clarity, peace, and centeredness be revealed to me now. This is an opportunity where we use our free will to say, there are unseen dimensions around me. There are unseen forces of light around me. There are unseen dimensions within me. And may I create resonance and relationships with that which has been seemingly invisible, so to bring the inner kingdom of heaven to life for myself, for my family, for my friends, for my humanity. This is where we actually start knocking on the door of heaven, and the door of heaven is our heart. And when the door of heaven opens, our heart opens and allows the light of our soul to shine through.
Woohoo! This is why I'm telling everyone, I'm telling all light workers, what I'm calling light warriors, this is our time. Yes. In the most beautiful way, this is our time.
Yes.
On that note, would you mind leading us in a beautiful guided meditation, unless you're driving down the road, do this later, which is less and less these days. You mind leading us in a beautiful meditation to your calling?
Absolutely. So let's let this meditation just be a practice of the process that we went over earlier in this interview, because I want to make sure that we are walking away with some tangible, practical skills. So the first thing we do is we find a comfortable place to sit, and we decide on today's intention. And the way that we decide our intention is we say, what is the adjective that matches the way I want to feel, that doesn't require the outside world to change first? Do I want more joy, more peace, more love, more centeredness? And just right now, pick that adjective. And as an example, I will use the word joy. And so in this meditation, before we even interact or meet another human being, we anchor the adjective. And if yours is in joy, you can just repeat this out loud with the different adjective. But we say to ourselves, that which I want to feel more of is what I give to others, to cultivate it within myself, without needing the external world to change. May all beings be blessed with joy. May all cells of every body be infused with joy. May all conflicts be resolved with joy. May this world be recreated and rebirthed through the power of joy. May the past be resolved with joy. May my wounds be healed with joy. May all concerns be melted by joy. May joy lead me forward. May joy awaken for all. And may it begin with me. And now that we have this intention anchored, now whoever we come into contact with, at the very least, at the end of the conversations, we say, may you be blessed with joy. And if someone asks why you are blessing me with joy, you say, because joy is what I want more of in my life, so I give it to you to pass along in a moment of goodwill. And of course, to remind us of more of the skills we take with us as these evolving, awakening spiritual warriors, when and if we were to ever get triggered, we're not going to get down on ourselves. We're not going to punish ourselves. We're going to say, I'm only getting triggered to practice my new skills. And if I got triggered, we would breathe in and breathe out, remembering I'm only being triggered to practice new skills. Breathe in and breathe out. I'm only being triggered to practice new skills. Breathe in, breathe out. It's not a mistake that I was triggered. It's just an opportunity to grow. Breathe in and breathe out. And we further our practice by asking ourselves 3 simple questions. What can I be grateful for right now? And maybe we say to ourselves, I'm grateful for this moment of growth, where I don't have to blame myself for being triggered when it was created by the universe just to help me practice these skills. Let myself off the hook. And the next question is, what is something I've done right today? And we can say, I'm so thankful and grateful. I've set my intention. I'm passing around vibrations of light in the very adjective that matches what I want more of in my reality. And I'm giving myself a chance to see being triggered as a chance to see the universe giving me a chance to practice and sharpen my skill set. And it's not a mistake of any kind. And I'm thankful and grateful that today is a day where I'm remembering how to be aligned, when so many times in the past I've been so forgetful. And I honor myself for this remembrance, and may this remembrance deepen and continue, and may it awaken for all. And then the last question is, what do I wish to see more of in the world? I wish to see more smiling faces. I wish to see people who have been temporarily displaced from their jobs manifest new careers and opportunities that pays them more and helps them thrive and contribute to the world greater than they ever thought they ever could imagine contributing. I want to see a new financial institution that allows everyone to thrive. I want to see a world where everyone has the chance to have education, nutrition. I'm seeing a world where we are all neighbors in a conscious society. We are all connected, whether we are related by bloodline or not. I see a world where we all help one another, where we realize we are the most abundant together as one, and that what is mine can be ours in any moment of need, and that we are all equal aspects of the one divine truth that we are allowing to awaken and guide us forward, to think as us, to speak as us, to live as us, to choose as us. As we place our hands on our heart and we say to the part of us that thinks it's dying and feels and perceives change as death, and we say, honey, it's okay, I love you. I'm here with you. I can't convince you otherwise. I can just love you through this process. I love you. I love you. And we say so poignantly to the ego, you'll never know enough to be okay. Only my love will carry you through. I love you. I love all of your questions. I love all of your concerns. They're all valid, but answers will never satisfy you. I love you. I don't answer the doubts. I love the one in doubt. I don't answer the concerns. I love the one who's concerned. I don't respond to the fear. I love the one who's fearing. And I know deep down inside that whether it's doubt, concern, or fear, these are all just attention-seeking devices from an ego that says, I know on some level my time is up. I know this is where I let go. And I know that you say that I'm really returning to the light even though I think I'm dying. And I'm just sending you all these attention-seeking devices saying, it is your love that will give me the strength to let go and return home to the light. And so we say to the ego, whether personifying itself as self-destructive conditioning, or as the innocence of an inner child, or even as the desperation of shadow, or even the reoccurring patterns of addiction. And we say to this ego, thank you for bringing me this far. This is your time to let go, and only my love will help you do so. Please share with me all that you feel and think, and I will only respond by loving you more. You are safe to let go. I'm not here to convince you. I'm just here to love you. I 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 love you. And with enough I love yous, what seemed like an individual heart beating in the body of an individual person, we realize that heart inside your body is actually the entire world existing within you as the Holy Creator that you are remembering you've always been and are bringing to the forefront of your reality so our world can be reborn.
Woohoo.
Yeah. I mean, you can just feel how dramatically the energy changes. And really, the more we stay steeped in this focus, the more immune we become to the fear of the world. And I speak as someone who can feel the energy. But I'm a transmuter of this energy. I'm transmuting for the entire planet. And there are many of us out there doing this. But the more rooted you are in your own awakened consciousness, the more immune you get to the fear. And a lot of us are already kind of steeped in a level of being immune to the fear, but we kind of feel like, oh, I should feel more. I need to be more plugged in. And really what it is, a lot of us are these anchors of light. And a lot of us sometimes have a little bit of self-doubt because we're so intuitive. and so emotionally underdeveloped. And so when you're very intuitive and a little emotionally underdeveloped, you develop self-doubt. And so in self-doubt, we go, oh, I feel a little removed. I should be more of this. I should be more afraid. When we are steeped in consciousness, we become very immune to the fear energy, because we are not the people who are being pulled into the fear. We are the ones transmuting the fear to awaken other people. So it's okay if you're not feeling the hysteria that other people are feeling. And it's okay if you're overwhelmed by it more than anyone around you. Either way, on behalf of the universe, I say to you, come as you are, be as you wish, and feel it now. And it, being infinite truth, infinite transcendence, that within you that simply is the love you've always been seeking. And when you remember that you are what you've always been seeking, that's when the death of seeking occurs. That's when conditioning dissolves as if it never was. And that's when an entire kingdom of heaven wakes up inside of you for the well-being, salvation, and ascension of all. And may it begin with you right now.
Woohoo! Thank you so much, Matt. This has been phenomenal, perfect, and just what we need. Just what we need. So thank you. Big hugs. Yeah. Where can people go to find your beautiful books and to find out more, Matt?
Well, my books are all, at every major retailer, Amazon, of course, you can find my books. And to sign up for my free newsletter to receive a free activation and to see the events that I'm doing when travel is allowed. And to be a part of my total integration program, please go to mattkahn.org. And we have so many wonderful offerings on that website.
So for everyone out there, this is Michael Sandler saying, be well, have fun, get the universe always has a plan, and begin transmuting your fear today and shine bright. Woohoo! Thank you so much, my brother. This was awesome. If you like this video, then you're a light worker, you're a light warrior, and we need your love and light. We need to crank it up to the max. That's why we're offering boot camps. You can check them out down below. Monday through Friday events, 1 hour a day, almost free, to help you crank your light up to the max, get you in the most positive place possible, boost your immune system to the max, and help you to help the world to shine bright. We're also offering YouTube live events every Saturday and Sunday during this time to help you overcome fear, overcome worry, overcome stress, and again, boost up your immune system. These tapping events, these boot camps, all involve group meditations where we come together, set group intention, help you help yourself, help your family, and help the entire world. You're a light worker. Your time is now, so come join us. Click below for these extra special events. I just had the most beautiful, heartwarming interview with Matt Kahn on The Universe Always Has a Plan. To check out more incredibly inspiring interviews, click here, subscribe below, click on that bell icon to be notified of upcoming shows, premieres, YouTube live, and tapping events. Join us for our boot camps down below to help you through this time. And be sure to give us a big thumbs up, leave your comments. Love you guys so much. Shine bright. Woohoo! Come join us for our events.